Welcome back to another edition of Let's Play WWE 2015. We are only a night removed from the final leg of the race on the road to WrestleMania, or so we thought, because very soon I will be making an announcement as to a show that may be taking place before WrestleMania 31. Much like we saw this year with Roadblock, or over the last 2 years with network specials to raise interest and awareness in the WWE network. So, without further ado, let's jump right into things and get going with this week's episode of Monday Night Raw. Now, we jump into things, and our first pre-show match is Ray Lipan against Ty Dillinger, and Lipan wins the match. And now we move forward as David Otunga's team of Connor and Victor go up against Brad Maddox and Brett Pyle in the second of 2 pre-show matches tonight, and the Ascension get the win. But now we kick off Raw in a way that we have never done, as far as I know, and as far as my knowledge, as far as I remember. Because we kick off Raw with Randy Orton making his way out to the ring and challenging Seth Rollins to a match tonight. But Randy's call is not answered by the undisputed future of the WWE and Mr. Money in the Bank. His call is answered by Triple H and Stephanie. And Triple H and Stephanie tell Randy that Seth has his plate full tonight with someone else, so Randy's issue with Seth needs to wait. But if Randy wants a shot to come back and show that he's still as good as he used to be, if he wants to work some ring rust off, then the Authority will oblige, because tonight Randy will go in a handicap match against Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble, J&J Security. But that's later tonight. To kick off tonight's show, we see Shelton Benjamin go up against Epico, and Shelton gets the win, which is something that has been hard to come by for Shelton since the start of the new year. And now we head to a video package as the announcers promote the highlights of Fastlane. See, the difference between WWE pay-per-views now and WWE pay-per-views back in the day, WWE pay-per-views now, you don't have to, if you miss it, you don't have to wait or hope that your cable provider offers replays of the pay-per-view. You can watch it whenever you want for only $9.99 on the WWE Network. Sorry. Now we head backstage with Xavier, Kofi, and Big E, and they are finding it difficult to let the power of positivity overtake them and make it where they are not angry. But they will say this, they do say this, that Christian's team cheated last night because this didn't start with the Big Show. This didn't start with Mark Henry. This started with Christian, and tonight it will end with Christian. Now we move forward with the next match, and it is the prime time players, Titus and Darren, going up against Golden Stardust. And Goldust falls victim to the gut check after a distraction from Stardust, who walks out on Goldust. He walks out on Goldust, which allows the primetime players to pick up the victory over the brothers. The match is over. And an angry Stardust makes his way back to the ring and attacks Goldust from behind and drops Goldust with a crossroads right in the middle of the ring. It's official. The Dust Brothers are over. And if that wasn't enough, after he drops him with the crossroads, Stardust has a temper tantrum right in the middle of the ring because he keeps hearing the fans chant, Cody, Cody, Cody. So Stardust throws a temper tantrum right in the middle of the ring to get screaming for the people to shut up. And now we head over to Michael Cole and his cohorts as they discuss what we just saw and the fact that tensions finally reached a boiling point between Cody and Stardust. Between Stardust and Goldust. And it seems like Stardust is ready to go out on his own, even if his brother doesn't want him to. And then JBL throws in, I always knew Stardust was more talented than his brother. And then Michael, as we move to the next match, Michael throws out there, I don't think this is the end of this between Stardust and Goldust. You just gotta wonder how deep it runs, this tension. What better, over the last couple of weeks, I have been giving various people time on both Raw and SmackDown. What do I mean by that? Well, when was the last time you saw Truth? A couple weeks ago. When was the last time you saw Sandow? When was the last time you saw Justin Gabriel? A couple weeks ago. Fact of the matter is, I'm giving people time who don't normally get it because I don't have any other reason to occupy the time with. Because yes, somebody might say, oh, what about the feuds? I don't need to build up feuds on both Raw and SmackDown. That would lead me to believe that, number one, bring in the brand split so you can have separate feuds, or the feuds would go half the time because I would be using 5 hours of television a week to promote the feuds instead of just 2 or 3. So the feuds get more longevity. And the people aren't as tired of the feuds and the talent so quick. Simple, yet easy. Now we move backstage into the League of Nations locker room as the League of Nations are patting themselves on the back after a big win last night at Fastlane in their first match as a stable. And then we also find out that not only is Rusev in action tonight against Rhino, but Bad News Barrett is also in action tonight against Rob Van Dam. But first, we have a little thing we need to take care of, and that is what we saw earlier tonight. Last night, in the main event of Fastlane, with the Wyatt family going up against Team Daniel Bryan, or Team Hell No and MVP, and we saw the debut of that guy in the middle, Abyss, and him officially join Bray, Luke, and Eric. Like always, I would give Bray complete control of this segment and let him say and do whatever he wants. Ask for Abyss, Abyss wouldn't talk. All you would hear from Harper is, well, no, Abyss would say one word, follow. And then Harper would say, the buzzards. But before things can break down, Daniel, MVP, and Kane make their way to the ring, and they're going face to face with Bray Wyatt, Abyss, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper. I say face to face because Daniel, Kane, and MVP are on the stage, and the first thing that Kane says is, Bray, you're lucky. We don't want to come down there tonight and beat your ass because we're not stupid. There's 4 of you and only 3 of us. We're not stupid. Then Daniel takes the mic and says, there's a reason why we're out here, and that reason is because I want to face you, Abyss. I want to face you one-on-one this Thursday night on SmackDown. And Abyss just looks at Daniel and shakes his head, officially accepting the challenge, and that means that this Thursday on SmackDown, you will see the Monster Abyss against Daniel Bryan in Abyss's first match in WWE. Now we move forward, and it is time for the United States title match between Rhino and Rusev. And Rusev, of course, gets the victory over the Man-Beast, Rhino. Now we move back to the announce table with Michael Cole, Byron, and John talking about what we saw last night between AJ and Paige, and that earlier today it became official that the Authority has taken it under consideration what exactly needs to be done to finally put to bed the feud, the rivalry, the hatred between Paige and AJ, and we will find that out this Thursday night on SmackDown. Now we head backstage as Seth Rollins is strategizing with his security force as Joey and Jamie get ready to go into the ring and face the Viper. Randy Orton, of course, gets the win over Joey and Jamie pretty easily, and then grabs the mic and says something like this: Hunter, I see what you're doing to Seth. It's the same thing you tried to do to me. Make it where I'm totally dependent on you. Well, I'm not anymore, Hunter. And Seth, the only reason why he's doing that to you, giving you the stage, is because he only does that to people who he fears could be better than him. And I speak from experience. But Rollins, if there's one thing that I can't stand, it's when people say that I'm a coward. I've never backed down from anybody in this company. And I'm not gonna start with you. You wanna say my career is over? Well, next time I have an opportunity, I'll make sure to end yours. We come back from a commercial break, and Chris Jericho is in the ring calling out, comes to the ring to call out Samoa Joe. Joe makes his way out to the ring, and him and Jericho trade words over what happened last night in their match, as the match ended in a draw, and what that means now for the rivalry between Joe and Jericho. And Jericho says this. He turns around, looks up at the roof of the building, looks up at a particular banner, and says, "You know something, Joe? There isn't very many dream matches left. But there's only ever one place for a dream match." He looks over again and then points. "Joe, that one place is WrestleMania. And I want to go one-on-one with you at WrestleMania." Because you think you're capable of beating the best in the world. You need to be given a wake-up call. Because I'm the best in the world at what I do. Joe just puts his hand over the mic and says, "Jericho, once you put out the challenge, that was enough. I'll see you at WrestleMania." So it's official, the first match has been made for WrestleMania, and it is Samoa Joe versus the second match has been made for WrestleMania, and it is Samoa Joe versus Chris Jericho in a rematch from Fastlane. Kofi defeats Christian, effectively, I think, putting an end to the feud between the New Day and Christian. And their promo following the match is basically them putting over how good they are. And the fact that they said that they would beat Christian. They said that they would put an end to the era of Attitude, and that nobody is better than them from that era, because it is time for a new day. We go backstage and we find Renee trying to get a word with Stardust, who's just pacing back and forth, talking to himself. And all Stardust does to Renee is he hisses at her and walks away. Not much of a word from the mysterious cosmic the cosmic man of mystery. Now we move to the next match, and it sees Rob Van Dam finally get a little taste of revenge against the League of Nations after being taken advantage of by the League, by the numbers game rather, for the last month or so. He finally gets a little taste of revenge by beating Bad News Barrett here on Raw. Now we head backstage with a random backstage segment, a comedy sketch involving Fandango and Santino. nothing much comes from it outside of making a joke or using Santino to his advantages. Let's put it that way. John Cena now comes to the ring. John Cena comes out and says, Owens, it's 1-1. We need a tiebreaker, and I'm gonna put out the challenge now. You versus me, Wrestlemania. Owens accepts the challenge to face Cena at WrestleMania. And he looks at Cena and says, Cena, if you thought that what I did to you last night at Fastlane was bad, you ain't seen nothing as to what I'm gonna do to you at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns competes. Really the main focus of it is him hyping up his match against Brock Lesnar. And every week leading into WrestleMania, it's going to be a different promo from Roman. This week's promo is a little shorter than every other week's going to be. Him talking about his critics, and me giving Roman complete control over the segment, because if I would trust him being world champion, I have to trust him writing his own promo. Daniel, Kane, and MVP are talking backstage about how Daniel is telling MVP and Kane that he wants nobody at ringside with him on SmackDown for his match against Abyss. And Kane and MVP don't think it's a good idea, but they can't argue with him. As Daniel leaves the room, Naomi, I had to give the Divas at least one match on Raw, and that's why I gave it to Naomi and Alicia Fox. Though they disappointed, but whatever. Fact of the matter is, Naomi gets the win, and then drops the challenge to the Divas champion Natalya, because she says this division isn't just for women. I have not lost a match this year. And if wins mean anything, then I deserve a title shot against Natalya. Not at WrestleMania. I want one before WrestleMania. I want one next week on Raw. And Mickey comes out and says, you might want a title shot, and that's all fine and dandy, but I get a rematch. So I'll be watching. Nothing much to this match outside of just getting Seth Rollins on TV, because recently, over the last month, he really has not been featured that as much as he should be on television. So I figured, why not give him a match tonight? Now, though I did this segment earlier tonight, I wasn't sure what was going to be said in the segment between Joe and Jericho. And I booked this before I booked that, so I just figured I'd keep it. And have Joe come out and join commentary for Chris's match against Cesaro. And Jericho defeats Cesaro. And yes, I'm well aware that this happened this past Monday night on Raw, but I think that this could have closed the show, and it may have drawn a little bit better than the New Day. I don't know, it's just me. But just my opinion, just my thought. Either way, pretty good way to end the show in my opinion, with Joe and Jericho. Cesaro and Jericho, rather. And we got a 77 final rating and increased our popularity in 19 regions. Now, if only we could do this on both Raw and SmackDown, that would be awesome, because we would keep going up and keep improving and keep getting better. Yes, the bar has been set for WrestleMania, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch Fastlane, because from Survivor Series to Fastlane, I've just kept going up in the final rating, and the bar has been set. I do believe I need to get at least between a 78 and an 80 for WrestleMania to have an improvement, and keep improving as with every pay-per-view. So, as we close out another episode of Let's Play WWE, let me know down in the comment section what your favorite part of the show was, what your least favorite part of the show was, and what you would have done differently if this was you. Because as always, feedback is more than welcomed. Feedback is more than welcomed and very appreciated. And as always, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. I'll see you in the next video. Later.